No justice, no peace.
Hi, this is Jess from Kentucky to Tokyo. Welcome back to the channel. And yeah, Wednesday, Japan News Roundup didn't happen. I'm really sorry. I had a very busy week, but this video is actually me participating in some news as opposed to talking about the news. But yes, I participated in the Black Lives Matter March like I talked about in my previous video. And long story short, it was really successful. I originally thought there was only going to be 1,000 people, according to the organizers, but ended up being 3,500 people, which is really great. So if you want to actually see, there's an interview with Sierra Todd on the Black Experience in Japan's channel. You should go watch it, and please give it a thumbs up, and please give a really nice comment, because they've been inundated with some really mean hate comments, and they've been downvoted quite a lot. I wonder if somebody put their channel link into 8chan or something like that, or Nichan. Sorry. So please go show it some love, and please watch it. It is really good to see. Some people may be like, oh, you went and participated in Black Lives Matter March. Don't you know there's a global pandemic? Yes, I'm aware there's a global pandemic. There was a hard rule set that everybody who participated in the march was going to have to wear a mask. So I wore a mask, I checked my temperature before going and every day after, and I've been very careful about washing my hands and using hand sanitizer and trying my best to not get exposed as much as I possibly can. So yes, I took precautions. I'm still taking precautions. I'm still trying to be very careful. But the numbers are also still very low in Tokyo. They are fluctuating between 20 to 40 on and off, but still low. Hopefully they'll stay low. I don't trust the numbers, as I said before. I think that there are more people out there with it than they're actually being said, most likely, but that's just my opinion. According to data, it's still low. So let's continue. Okay, cool. Before we got to this march, we were told that there would be the hate group was going to be there. Yay. There's an NPO. That's a hate group that hates foreign people and talks about how Japan needs to go back to its glory days of, I don't know which kind of glory days they're talking about, but okay. And it's basically the super right-wing conservative group that really just wants to have Japan be Japanese only and things. And okay, fine. So there's that hate group, and they go around at 1 o'clock every Sunday in Shibuya, and they have these vans. They blow, they have their hate speech stuff thrown out there. Cool. But then they said that they were going to stick around to protest the Peace March. Great. That's what you want to hear before you go off on a rainy day in the middle of a global pandemic with more people there. But they were going to stay at Shibuya Scramble, and they were going to stay there to protest the Peace March. And then there was a counter-protest for the hate protest, which was that there was the No Hate group, which is anti-racism, anti-transphobic, and all the against any kind of discrimination group. You could see them often at Pride with their posters. So they were there to counter-protest the protest against the Black Lives Matter March. So 3 different groups were all expected to show up at Shibuya Scramble. Yay. So that was tense. It was a little bit of a worry before going into the march that maybe there weren't going to be as many people because of the pandemic, because of the rain, and then also because possible problems to happen. Again, this is a peace march. This is not Black Lives Matter Peace March, not a protest. Let me get that super clear. There's no protesting. There were no signs that were fuck Trump. There were no signs against Abe. This is not there was the other police brutality actual protests that happened a couple weeks ago about the Kurdish man who was brutalized by police on a traffic stop. Okay. That one was a protest because that one was created by Japanese people and the Kurdish group who wanted to protest police brutality. Got it. That one we call a protest. This one is called a peace march. And generally speaking, I try to call most things marches or peace rallies or solidarity rallies. Why? Because foreigners do not have full protections of the Japanese Constitution. If it's called a protest, and if you are then reported to immigration, you could have your visa rejected and / get deported and get detained and then thrown out of the country. it is a possibility. Now, is it like a huge possibility? Not entirely, because see, one of the things you'd have to do is somebody would have to like take your face, see this, and then report it as a protest. But then, of course, the police would have to see on their documentation that it was a protest. And see, the Black Lives Matter march was a peace march. It wasn't called a protest. Therefore, the danger level is lowered by the fact that this isn't geared towards, that this march was not geared towards any political figures in Japan. It was not geared towards against any political forces in Japan. This is just, we support the Black Lives Matter movement that is happening across, America, and then also now reaching kind of a global state where it's taking over internationally in solidarity with them. Now again, we are going into this with all this in the background. So originally thought it would be 1,000 people, but 3,500 people showed up, and that is so great. That is amazing. I was one of them, and that's something to talk about. So I got up really early. I made a sign for Breonna Taylor because, as I talked about in my previous video, Breonna Taylor's people, Brett, the cop, did get fired, but he still hasn't been charged or arrested. Neither have the other police officers involved in her alleged murder. Got up early, made my sign for Breonna Taylor, put QR codes to the change.org petition, to the website justiceforbreonna.org, and then also the donation fund for Breonna's family. Okay, took a while, but I got the sign all made up. On the front side, back side, donation fund. So I'm going to be taking photos and videos, so I wanted to be able to have a sign that would be wrapped around my neck. So this is a braided rope taped on. I'm going to bring tape with me just in case this thing falls apart on me, because that has happened before. But yeah, I'm about to leave soon, so hopefully getting there early I can help out anybody who needs some help, or I have some markers in case people want to make their own signs and stuff. Anyway, about time to go. Oh yeah, I forgot. I also have written the U.S. Embassy and the Rescue Contact Center, just in case it's a peaceful march and the police know we're coming and like there's a permit and everything, but I don't know, just in case. I went off to go to the Yoyogi Event Plaza area, and as I said, I didn't expect that many people to be there, but the line was so long. And one of the reasons this video was also delayed is because I had to blur out faces, and I wanted to blur out people because I didn't feel comfortable sharing people's faces, and I didn't feel comfortable sharing people's, like, if I could be identified kind of things. Like, news outlets, sure, but I am not a news outlet, right? I'm not, like, I'm just a person who has a YouTube channel, and putting people's faces out there when I don't really have permission to do that, and also putting, like, people's, like, identifying information, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I decided that, like, everything I was putting up here, I was gonna blur out just to, like, keep people safe. Because you never know, like, maybe somebody works for somebody who is racist, or maybe they work for somebody who is, like, xenophobic, and they see them, like, at this march. You know, you never know. So I'm just trying to keep people as safe as I possibly can. Even on my Twitter, I only shared the posters that I collected for, like, the Creative Zine team that wanted to have posters of the event, but I didn't show faces from the march because I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So that's what's happening with this. Okay, and then, so we got into the line with the march, and as we were marching up, there was a small moment of me going, ugh, because there were so many police there. And now, the police weren't wearing riot gear as far as I could tell. They didn't have guns as far as I could tell. Just like a few people with batons, and they were wearing just like their rain and like reflective gear. But I guess because there were so many people, so many more people than expected, but then on top of that, because of the 3 different groups that were all going to be collecting at Shibuya Scramble Crossing, maybe that also had something to do with it. The police actually seemed very bored. They didn't really seem to, they didn't, as far as I know, they didn't say anything to the marchers, and they also didn't, like, instigate anything, so far as I can tell. They were just yelling at people to please stay in this line to not get hit by a car, which is fair enough. But yeah, we got closer and closer to Shibuya Scramble Crossing, and we were shouting, Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace.
Black Lives Matter!
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 Black Sabetsuyo Yamero, which is like stop racism. And so as we're going, I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? And when we get to Shibuya Scramble Crossing, is there gonna be a thing or is there not gonna be a thing? What's gonna happen? I was ready. I had my camera on this phone ready, and then I also brought I bought a used old camera that is so that I could also take pictures. So I had two different things so that in case like my camera was confiscated for whatever reason, then I could have my camera with the micro USB stick and I could like give it to somebody really quick or something like that. Like I was ready for something to happen. But we get up there, we get to the crossing and nothing. There was no one there. And I was really like, what? Oh, okay. I looked for posters, I looked for people yelling, and I looked for things, but there was nothing there, and I was relieved. I didn't want anybody to get hurt in this. So we were going in, and we're like, okay, nobody's here. But the No Hate group was there with their, like, colorful sign. Okay, so I guess there was something that happened. Like, that's what I thought. But then we went back into, chanting and shouting, for Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace, and things like that. And we were shouting all the way through. If you have been in the Tokyo Rainbow Pride Parade, it was the same exact circuit. It was the same circuit from like Yoyogi Event Plaza all the way around from Shibuya area, the crossing, going over to the corner of like there's like several different like TV spots, and then you turn left and then you go back and then you go to the Emote Sando building that has like all the mirrors that you go up the escalator and every Instagrammer and their mother has taken pictures there. That one, you turn left again and then you go back to the Yoyogi like park area. That's the same circuit that we did. So we went through again, and as we were going back, it was really cool to see that people had gotten out of the original parade, the original march, and they came back and they were like lining up along the sidewalks to like support people as they were coming in. And it was a really great solidarity moment. It was really good. Everybody was wearing masks, everybody was being really careful, and everybody was trying their best to like still be supportive but also still be safe. Good to see. And yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, it was great. Even though it did rain, even though it was kind of hot and humid and sticky, it was a very successful event. And I really liked that everyone came out and like supported, because that really wasn't expected. And as it turns out, for the Shibuya Scramble thing, the racists left. We were there for so long, and we were there marching for hours for so long that they left. They gave up. They gave up and they just like left. They were gone. I've been really careful since the march to like check my temperature, check my symptoms to see if anything, like if I lose my sense of smell or if I lose my sense of taste. My school that I go to has thermal cameras that take, your temperature as well, but I don't trust them. So I have my own temperature, I have my own thermometer here. So I check that before I go to work, and then I bike to work instead of taking public transportation. And then then I have the thermal cam. So far, so good. No, knock on wood, no symptoms so far, and I feel pretty okay. Hopefully that will stay the case. It's been a week. It's been a full week now. So hopefully by this time, I think I would... They say about a week to 9 days is when you start kind of showing symptoms, but it can't incubate for about 2 weeks. So I'm trying to stay very careful. I'm always wearing a mask. When I'm outside, doesn't matter if I'm biking, it doesn't matter if I'm in my school, it does not matter. I am always wearing a mask because I don't, even if I'm asymptomatic, if I never show symptoms, I do not want to pass it on to somebody. I also have a face shield that I use at work that's plastic. And so I've got all the precautions in place, and I consistently wash my hands. And before I go into my classrooms, I'm always like throwing alcohol on my hands. So trying to be very, very careful about that. But I felt it was important to go. I really felt it was important to show solidarity, because there are people being killed on camera who are black, and consistently they are getting no justice. There are police officers who bungle investigations and they kill people and they get away with it. Black Lives Matter right now, Tokyo, Fukuoka, Nagoya, you can follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and they will probably do marches later on in the year, maybe, but right now it's kind of like up in the air because everything's up in the air right now. So you can go follow them. There are also, like, at least for Black Lives Matter Tokyo, there are other like black oriented events that are being done online, which, you know, of course, are safer, and then are also educational about like the black experiences that are happening in Japan, but also just in general, like unlearning things about like how our society kind of allows for racism to exist based on history and things that have been set precedented because colonialism, because of reasons. So you should go follow all of those, and I'll put them in the links below. And yeah, this was a good event, and again, justice for Breonna Taylor, please and thanks. I'm gonna put the link to Breonna's website, and please continue to keep the fire going on this case. I know Beyonce put out a letter to the, you know, legislatures and everything to like demand action for Breonna Taylor, and that's fantastic. And I know that other celebrities like Ron Perlman of all people have been like talking about Breonna Taylor's case. That's great, that's fantastic, but we've got to keep the momentum going, because if we don't, she could just be forgotten, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so thank you for watching. That is the whole video. Thank you very much. This week I'm taking a week off because life right now has gotten kind of out of hand and it's busy. So I will see y'all in about 2 weeks on next Wednesday, and then we'll have a different video up and running. Okay, so have a good week, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Have a good time, wash your hands, stay safe, and wear a mask. All right, bye-bye.